Hi everybody, today we're looking at a Sultai deck that's loosely based around a domain theme with a little bit of control and kind of mid-range elements to take care of the early game. The inspiration for this deck was Sphinx of Clear Skies, a flying warded body for 5, that is a 5/5 Sphinx. I mean, sign me up, I love this. Now, it's got a domain ability on it, so whenever it does combat damage to a player, we get to reveal the top X cards of our library, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. The opponent then separates those cards into 2 piles, kind of like Fact or Fiction used to be, and you put one pile in your hand and the other into your graveyard. So we get to choose, but the opponent makes the piles. Piles can also be empty, as we'll see in some of these games. So this was kind of the inspiration for putting a deck together that could kind of take advantage of this card a little bit and support it, kind of build around it. Now, Domain in a straight blue deck is obviously only going to net you 1 card off the top each time, so I knew we at least wanted to be 2 colors, probably closer to 3, and that would allow us to flex into 4 or 5 as some of these games went on. So let's take a look at the rest of the deck. We're also running Cruelty of Gix in here, which is a really flexible card. It reminds me a lot of Fable of the Mirror Breaker in that it does multiple really useful things every turn, and it's great that we can kind of select the mode that we want. So sometimes later in the game, we might not want to start on the first chapter and make our opponent discard something because their hand is empty or we know what's in it already, and we can go straight for the Grim Tutor or the reanimation effect at the end and either get back our own Sheoldred, for example, or something that we've killed from the opponent. Herd Migration was another card that inspired the creation of this deck. Looked like a really flexible way to kind of solve the domain problem of having enough basic lands to make it worthwhile, and also a late game token generator as another sort of finisher. I originally had a few more of these in this deck, but the 7 mana cost is a little prohibitive, so just wanted to try one here, and we did get to cast it. Looking over on the low end, we've got 3 copies of Cut Down, which is a great removal spell from Dominaria. And again, being kind of a lightly domain-focused deck, Commune with Spirits can allow us to look at the top of our library and select some of these tri-lands that will help fix some of our mana. You'll see in some of these early games we ran into a couple of mana issues. The first ones weren't so bad, but then we ended up in games where we had only Dreamroot Cascades and Deathcap Glades, these Crimson Vow lands where they don't actually have a basic land type. So we started off with 2 of these tri-lands, and that seemed to be enough, but then we ran into that above situation, and I knew we had to fix that. So we put in 3 Thran Portal a little bit later, and that definitely seemed to help. It gave us some flexibility, and we took out some of the enemy pain lands that we had put in here to begin with. Real quick, going through the 2 mana slot, you've seen a lot of this before, but I want to highlight a couple of things. We've got Joint Exploration. Wanted to give this a try to ramp us up to 4 and 5 mana a little bit early, and it's kind of one of the staple blue card draw spells that they always seem to print in every set, but this adds a little ramp if you have an extra land in your hand, so wanted to give this a try. It was good, but not that good, that's why it's only at 3 copies. We're also running 4 copies of Make Disappear because this is super annoying for an opponent who is trying to curve out, and then we might be able to sacrifice a Tenacious Underdog or something else later on to it to really bump up the power level. We're running 2 Infernal Grasp as some basic removal, a couple of Tenacious Underdog, who is fantastic and a great late game way to draw some cards and pressure an opponent, and then Tear Asunder, which is one of the new cards from Dominaria that I'm really excited about. It's a great flexible card. It's an instant that exiles something, and if you pay the kicker cost, it exiles anything, not just an artifact or enchantment. Was testing out just 1 copy in here because we already have a decent amount of removal, but I could see going up to 2, 3, 4 copies of this card. It kind of fills that role of Binding of the Old Gods a little bit. It's a similar mana cost, but the instant and exile effect makes it worth it, even though it doesn't stick around like a Saga does. Looking over at the 3 drops, you'll see the other pieces of the domain puzzle. We're running a couple of Shadow Prophecy as some card draw. We lose 2 life, but we look at the top X cards of our library and pick 2 cards from the top of it. This was pretty good, and it's a pretty good rate on card draw, especially on an instant for black. So you'll see we only ran into problems when we had land problems before we fixed things with Thran Portal. So yeah, overall, pretty decent card. And then Llanowar Greenwidow. I wanted to give this a try to give us another recurring threat that wasn't Tenacious Underdog that would not hurt our life total as much. Life totals seem to be really swingy in a lot of games in this format, not just with this deck, so I wanted something else that we could bring back as a repeated threat that would also get a payoff from having different types of basic land types in our deck. There were a couple of games where we were able to bring back the Greenwidow for 3 or 4 mana. It's the same as basically casting it again. Kind of a solid early blocker for us that, I don't care if it dies, and then we get to bring it back later to threaten the opponent's life total since it's got trample and it's got reach. And looking over at the 4-drop slot, of course, we've got 2 copies of Sheoldred the Apocalypse. It's a great way for our deck to catch up if we're behind by drawing some cards and put a little more pressure on the opponent if they want to be doing some drawing. We're also trying out 1 copy of Nael, Avizoa Aeronaut. I know I'm mispronouncing that. It's trying to provide a similar effect to us. It's like an extra copy of the Sphinx, just in a slightly different body. I haven't tried this card yet, and we're just giving it a shot here. Now, we're going to try something different today. I'm going to stay with you for some of these games on the ranked standard ladder. But first, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. All right, back here with Sultai with a light domain theme. Conveniently forgot to record my last game. However, this looks keepable. We'll probably cut down and commune on this turn. I do like that card. That is a good card. Let's look for something to do here. Okay. Not much on the enchantment front in the top 4. Ouch. Definitely doing this to prevent them from drawing a card. But we will need to address good old Tovolar over there. Let's try traditional blocking. All right, so since we just need to buy a little bit of time, I'm going to go ahead and Shadow Prophecy now and prevent the day from turning to night. Now if we can keep them at 3s, which looks like we will, we're going to be able to Meathook these 2 away, which is very nice. That is an excellent draw to help us get back in the game. Let's go with Sheoldred and hold up a Make Disappear. See if they try to kill it at the end of our turn. Oh, and Sheoldred was too much. Okay. This looks keepable. Things to do on 2, 3, and 4. So nearly complete from a domain standpoint already. All right, go ahead and Underdog on 2. Plan is to Greenwidow on 3, follow it up with Sheoldred. And then hopefully draw some more of our 4 and 5 cost mid-rangey threats that help us refill the hand. Fortunately, since I wasn't paying attention, we can't cast the Greenwidow anymore. All right, well, opponent not holding up the Wandering Emperor, so let's see what's going on over there. Looks like our opponent had to take a phone call or go touch some grass or something. Perhaps they've returned? I don't know. Alright, well, as it looks like our opponent has taken advantage of a beautiful day and gone for a walk, we'll talk for a moment about Llanowar Greenwidow. I wanted to give this a try in kind of a similar capacity as Tenacious Underdog. It's nice because it's got reach and trample, so it can't just be chump blocked. And since we're leaning on a light domain theme in here, I thought it would be a good chance to give it a try and see if that recursion would be put to good use. However, we will have to face our opponent another day. Okay, this looks like a eminently keepable hand with our Sultai sort of control deck with a light domain theme here. Let's go ahead and keep 7. We'll see if we can cut down something at the end of this turn and hope to joint exploration next turn to get a little ramp going. No land, unfortunately. Now we could Greenwidow or joint exploration. Tell you what, let's believe in the heart of the cards. We'll go with the Greenwidow. If we draw any untapped land, we can Sheoldred next turn. Otherwise, we should be able to recover with one of these 2 cards. Very fair card. That used to be rare. That's how much of a power level we're looking at in today's set. All right, right on time, never in doubt. 4th land for Sheoldred. Hopefully making our opponent wish they had held on to that hero's downfall. No. Alright, this must be some kind of Orzhov control-ish deck. Well, let's go ahead and commune and see what we find. We can always joint exploration later on. That was a good find. See if we can pull a big creature or planeswalker out of our opponent's hand with that next turn. Alright. We'll let them make their choice. They're probably picking the Cruelty. If they pick Exploration, we'll probably just draw with the Clue token. Yep, they pick Cruelty. Probably an apt choice. Let's joint Exploration with Kicker. Can't cut that down. And this will get us closer to Gix. Let's give that a try. Yes, we'll put that on the battlefield. Activate our Clue as well. Okay. It's Greenwidow in the hopes of exploring once again next turn. Opponent chooses drag to the bottom, but we're getting to the point where we can almost cast these things, so... Yeah, I was about to say, why are we kicking there? We're kicking there in case we get into this scenario where we draw 2 lands. So it's a guaranteed Cruelty of Gix this turn if we want it. Or we can drag everyone to the bottom. We'll only have 1 mana left. Opponent not really interested in attacking, so I do want to get this Cruelty out and just see what they're working with. Very good. Let's go ahead and get rid of the Emperor, most likely. And we can most likely handle the remaining card. Could see a Massacre here. Or they could try to get the Purifier going. Yes. All right. Good targets could be Meathook Massacre, Sheoldred. We already have a Sphinx in hand. Tell you what, let's go ahead and grab Sheoldred. We're going to drag everybody to the bottom. Okay. Well, since I accidentally miscounted my basic lands, what we're going to do is go ahead and grasp the Purifier and see if we can rebuild in a second. I'm also going to start throwing Greenwidows at the opponent's face, since we're getting to the point with our mana where we can start replaying them. Another Cruelty. Get a little lifelinker going here. Sure, no problem. All right, thanks, opponent. I will happily choose pile 1. Let's get this forest down to finally get the right domain here. And we'll lay both of these down. Not looking good for the opponent. We'll see what happens next. Hey, Kriegers. Do think the Purifier is an interesting card. It's just nowhere near as good as good old Shauna. Shauna. We're just going to throw everything in there. They can get rid of Sheoldred if they want to. But we'll be able to play Greenwidows to follow up. Another Cruelty of Gix to bring it right back if we need to. Let's see if our opponent has learned how to factor fiction. They have not. Appreciate it. All right. Any way we can kill our opponent outright from here? No, I don't think so. So let's get something on the battlefield, and we'll hold up a make disappear. All right, that wraps up that one. Edo. Hajimemashite. We're playing our Sultai deck with a light domain theme here. Seems as good as hand as any to start us off with. Here's a question. Do any of you know if MTG Arena is like cross-regional? Are we divided up into regions or servers? If I see somebody on here with a actual Japanese name, Does that mean they are, in fact, Japanese? Or have they just figured out how to put in hiragana, katakana, that kind of thing? Always wondered. Always wondered, too, about the time zone differences. Like, is there a certain time of day, like I'm in the Eastern time zone, for example, is there a certain time of day where I am more likely to face more opponents because there is a critical mass of opponents online at one time? This is what I think about. And we're getting Brutal Cathar. Typical mono-white fashion. Now that I look at it again, I think Sun Gold Sentinel actually got better. Well, not having the second black hurts a little bit here. Hurts a lot. We're going to have to reconsider our light domain strategy after this. Yep. All right, well, the good news is that if we can draw an untapped black source, I believe we can still get all this out of the way and be like, nothing ever happened. And we'll get one of our widows back. See, I knew it would all work out. No problem. Great. Absolutely. Fateful Absence, the creature that can come back. Not a problem. Halo Fountain. I like this card, but by the time you get to 15 creatures, you pretty much have won the game already. Interesting inclusion in this white deck, though. Kind of like it. Gonna exile one of our widows. Still only sitting at a resounding 1 on the domain count, so... Let's start putting Sphinxes down and try to draw our way out of this. That's fishy. That's real fishy. What is that? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. You're gonna try to Eganjo me here? Keyword being try. Ouch. All right. Herd migration not looking too great right now. Let's get in and see what we can get here. I think I will choose the pile that has cards. Sounds good to me. Opponent giving up. Yep, I don't blame him. We're going to have to rework this a little bit. I was thinking a few minutes ago, I was taking a break. We need to put in a couple of Thran Portals in place of some of the Pain lands, because it is a little bit difficult in certain situations to get to at least 3 lands, which is at least where we want to be, just to make everything worthwhile. So we're going to put in some Thran Portal, and I might make one more change too. Be back in a sec. All right, back here with a Sultai domain deck. I've got a Commune, so I'm going to try to keep this and get a black source, but it's passable. It's not great. At least we get one extra draw since our opponent's going first. Our opponent, Whiskit Bull. That's a reference I don't understand, but do appreciate the Ashiok sleeves. Well done. Okay, well that kind of solves most of our problems. We'll play this now. There's not much else for us to do until turn 2. Well, all colors online. Let's go ahead and pass. We've got a couple... Well, we've got 3 make disappears to make our opponents miserable. Two mana is enough for now. Let's go ahead and work on domain a little bit. Deja vu. This just happened. Literally just happened, I swear. Oh, hey, cat. I don't know if you can hear my cat there. All right. Well, we can either hold up and make disappear, do a little digging. Yeah, I get the sense our opponent is really going to try to lay a threat down. So let's just hold up this last make disappear. If they don't do anything, we're in even better shape to lay the Greenwidow plus keep up make disappear the following turn, as we're about to do now. Let's see, this mana works out. Yes. All right. And we will pass. Well, let's see. Do we want to keep it that badly? What do we think they're running over here? If they play a Sheoldred, we can't kill that. Let's just let them have this. Not worth getting into a fight over that. We'll just recast this. Still keep up make disappear mana. We got a reader over there. I get it. It's a new set. You got to do that. Hope has been faded. Opponent a little bit stuck on lands over there. Nothing to drop on 5, though. Let's see what's on top of our deck. Nothing good. We did get a land anyway. Another joint exploration, so let's pass it on back. I will counter your draw 3 spell. Yes, please. Don't need any more lands. That's been 5 lands in a row. Ah, here we go. Now we're talking. We will get a look at what's going on over there. Oh, that could not have come at a better time. Man, double Geist Wave, though. That's going to be tough to get rid of, especially with a Fading Hope in the graveyard. All right. Well, that's going to be very tough to get rid of. What are they sitting on? Parasitic Grasp, another Invoke Despair. Well, let's go get the last remaining make disappear. Try to fade a land. Yeah, everything else just gets answered pretty neatly. I don't think we have enough to do that right away. Do we have enough mana to do this for 4 and keep it up? Yes, we do. All right, let's go ahead and make him spend that Fading Hope on Lear. We're going to go ahead and counter that. If Lear comes back down, it's not going to be that useful. We need definitely more things. Just a casual 4 tokens. Hopefully they have no answer for that. Ah, excellent. Well, this is an instant. Let's go ahead and move to attacks. See if they have any more Fading Hopes. No. Let's do this now to avoid counters, etc. Okay. I'm gonna go with Underdog and Sheoldred just because they are tougher to get rid of. Canceling out our respective massacres. Well, let's see. Mana-wise, we can do one or the other. One or the other being blitzing Tenacious Underdog or playing Cruelty of Gix. We're going to play Cruelty and either snag Leer or something else. Graveyard Shift is no fun. Alright, let's take a look at what we got here. Yeah, we have not much choice except to draw. So we'll only do a net 2 damage, but that's okay. That's an interesting choice. Why would you do that? Opponent might have drawn another reanimation spell. Well, that's too dangerous to leave alive. Best we can do is bluff a counterspell. Ah, there we go. Best we can do is bluff a counterspell and cycle this land. Exile Toxrill. Play the Underdog. We really need to keep drawing cards. He's got... Opponent's got 2 Memory Deluges waiting.
I'll have this fight finished before brunch.
Yeah, we need the card. This will not make it into Lily, but that's okay. Would have expected the sacrifice there, but I guess they're going for the Lily Ultimate. Get rid of one of these portals. That's pretty good. All right, opponent's sitting on not too much. Can we hit him with the underdog? Then Sheoldred. I don't think it's enough. All right. Got to use the underdog to get Lily low enough to where we can't sacrifice.
You chose the wrong day to cross me.
Gain a life from drawing our cards. Opponent will take 2. Each player discards. I'll resolve that. Can have one of my cut downs. Memory Deluge. You've got 3 mana left to address this. We get Duressed. I think that's acceptable. Checking for a counterspell. Gonna try to Infernal Grasp, and we got there. That was a good game.